everybody. Woo, that's right, man. Welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz, episode 99. My name is Matthew. I'm here with my good buddy, D. Schmitty. The Bowfishing Buzz podcast brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well. Our amazing sponsors.
Yes.
End Designs, Leatherwork and Embroidery, Efficiency Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. Matt, we are one episode away from the big 100.
Holy cow.
That does blow my mind. That is crazy to me.
Wow.
I say it every time, but that is crazy to me.
Wow.
And we are going to do some cool things for episode 100. Okay, guys?
Oh, I don't even know about this.
Yeah, you're going to learn right now. Okay, we're going to give away some awesome stuff.
Wow.
We're going to do some giveaways for episode 100 to just say thank you to you guys for listening to us. If nobody listened to this podcast, we wouldn't be at episode 100, so it's all thanks to you guys. We're still undecided what we want to give away, but it will be some very cool AMS and Megamouth product. And be on the outlook on our social media channels, Megamouth and AMS.
All right.
We will put out there how you guys can sign up for the giveaway. So there might be a little something that we do. Maybe it'll end up on the podcast. Who knows? But just make sure to watch our social media outlets to see how you can sign up for episode 100 giveaways.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Derek, will that be on Facebook and Instagram or just the Facebook pages?
I'll tell you what, with the idea I have in mind, we'll probably put it on both.
Okay.
And not to spoil what we're going to do here, but you would be able to send your submission to either our Facebook or Instagram page.
Okay.
So just be on the outlook for that. That'll be pretty cool.
All right, that sounds great.
Yep.
That sounds great. Well, Schmitty, bowfishing is really kicking in now.
100%. Yep. Nice weather this last weekend. A lot of people were out shooting fish.
That's right. A lot of tournaments are kicking into high gear right now.
Yep.
In fact, this past weekend, the Wisconsin Bowfishing Association had their first tournament of the season down on Mud and Chub. They got like 35 teams.
Great turnout. Awesome turnout. Especially for the first, coldish kind of weather tournament of the year. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one thing that is really cool is their hobby class division.
So cool.
We're getting these teams that are kind of on the hinge of, should we, shouldn't we?
Yep.
Are we too small for this? The hobby class is
exactly what it's made for.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see these hobby class teams come in there, and they're out there scouting. Mm-hmm. They're out there digging just like everybody else, and they're doing a great job.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And, the long-term goal, I think, for that hobby class, too, is you got guys who participate in it, and then down the road, they are graduated from the hobby class because they are now comfortable. They've got some tournaments under their belt, and now they're in with the general, submissions for that tournament. So very cool.
Right. And for those of you that don't know exactly what the hobby class is, it's your entry level into getting into tournaments. Yep. The entry fee is less.
Yep.
You still have to be a member, like you have to be a member of the WBA.
Yep.
And of course, then the payouts are based on how many teams get in there, but it's just a smaller entry fee to get those teams to come, be in their own division. No airboats are allowed in that division. So it's great to see these teams coming in and showing up for these tournaments. I love it. Yeah. And the Bowfishing Association of Michigan, BAM, is I think they already had their second tournament of the season already.
Okay, gotcha.
They do a great job over there. Jesse Hurst does a great job, and that whole crew over there. And the Bowfishing Association of Michigan seems really good and strong. So, it's a great thing to do. Become part of those state organizations, the state bowfishing clubs.
Yep.
Help volunteer. They're always asking for a little help at the weigh-ins and stuff like that. Step up. That's a great way to meet a lot of new people. Learn different waters.
Right.
You're going to be going to different waters and learning those out. One thing that I learned, Derek, when I first started competing in the tournaments was, how are these guys coming in with all these fish, and how are they getting all these big fish? What are they doing?
Right.
Learning.
Yeah.
Learning.
Different techniques, different ways guys are using equipment, different layouts of boats. Mm-hmm. The opportunities to learn are endless at these events.
Yes,
100%.
Absolutely. And, of course, your membership helps keep these clubs strong.
Yeah. Yep.
And it keeps them thriving. It keeps them going.
Oh yeah, and to break that down, your membership helps keep the club strong. The club helps keep the sport strong.
Exactly.
It is all in direct correlation with that. So you're benefiting not only your local club but also the entire bowfishing community as a whole.
Absolutely. I've met some of my best friends competing in bowfishing tournaments. Lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Not just here in the state of Wisconsin, all over the country.
Right.
I've got great friendships because of bow fishing tournaments that I have met at these tournaments.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's challenging. Gives you a drive. It's competition.
Yep. 100%.
Everybody has that competition.
Oh, yeah.
Driven in there.
Yep.
Yep.
It's healthy.
Everybody has that. Right.
Absolutely. Makes yourself better. Makes everyone else better. Everyone's trying to win. And at the same time, these bow fishing tournaments, it's not cutthroat, people not talking to each other because I don't want to give away any information of what might help them. The community is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And as far as communication, now you're not going to get GPS pins to where guys are shooting fish, but it seems like the bow fishing community, above even the hunting and fishing community, is just so much more of an open-ended community as far as wanting to help other people.
Right.
So, yeah, and I will say this, Matt, too. We work the AMS Big 20. You put the tournament on. AMS as a company, that's our tournament, And when we go there, we are paid. We're paid to help work there. If I wasn't paid, just the aspect of getting to talk to people, seeing the fish come in, to me, it's this is hard to say because we do get paid, but it's like, it's such a cool deal. I don't think I would mind even if I didn't.
Right.
If this was just something that we did as volunteer work, you feel great after doing it. You talk to a lot of people.
Right.
It's just a really cool deal.
Well, I hope Cindy and Jeff are listening.
Yeah, me too. Schmitty's volunteering this year. Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff right there.
On the topic of tournaments, Matt, why don't you give everyone a little bit of a tease of the guest that we will be joined by today?
Not only are we having a great guest on, but he's going to be stopping here in person.
Yep.
We're going to be having on my great friend and newly inducted into the BAA Hall of Fame, Jody Bigalke, one of my great teammates, is going to stop by and join us here, and we're going to talk bow fishing, how it was getting inducted into the Bowfishing Hall of Fame, what that meant to him, how the sport has changed, what he thinks it needs to do to keep strong and stuff like that there. So Jody was on our podcast number 3.
Yeah. Tournament Talk was the name of it.
6 years ago.
With Jody Bigalke.
Right. So I'm looking forward to having Jody back on. Big hats off to him for getting inducted into the BAA Hall of Fame. And it's going to be a nice little interview with Jody today.
100%. Yeah, looking forward to it. Matt, bow fishing. Bow fishing as a sport in general, we just actually, I think I remember seeing the stat maybe at the ATA show this past year. In the last decade, bow fishing is the fastest growing outdoor sport of any outdoor activity that you can do. Right. As far as hiking, hunting, fishing, the whole deal. Bow fishing has grown the most rapidly within the last 10 years, which is really cool. And sometimes we're so involved in it, we can't see that bigger picture with things. We're doing bow fishing stuff all the time.
Right.
We're talking about it once every 2 weeks on a podcast. But this last week, I really actually got to see how big bow fishing has become. All right? Driving home from work last week, Matt, listening to the radio.
Yeah.
And you guys, I'm sure you guys have heard it before, the song Rockstar by Nickelback. Hey, I want to be a rock star.
Yeah.
Somebody has too much time on their hands.
Oh, boy.
Because I heard a new version of it on the radio.
No.
Yeah, and I downloaded it to our roadcast here. We're going to be able to play it for everybody. And I thought it was great. So I'm just going to play this little song and we'll just see what everyone thinks.
All right.
It, okay?
Let's hear this.
Here we go.
I'm excited. Oh. Wow.
Ooh. DJ Schmitty Productions.
I'm through with working this job today. Never seems to end. It's like the bottom of the ninth, but I'm just clocking in. This life hasn't turned out quite the way I want it to be.
Tell me what you want.
I want a brand new boat so I can shoot with my kids, and a deck so big I play ping pong in, and 150 horse motor big enough to reach high speeds.
So what you need?
I'll need a fish barrel, throw some commons in it, and a Garmin GPS with live scope in it. Want to join the BAA? Yeah, that's the club for me.
I love it.
I want a new F-350 filled with diesel fuel. Instead, I treat my 02 Chevy like a rented mule. Travel all around the nation, shooting fish is fun to me.
So how you gonna do it?
I'm gonna trade this life for bowfishing fame. Might even cut my mullet and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be bowfishing stars, shooting fish all night, talking 40-pound carp. The fish come easy and the gear comes cheap. The carp ain't skinny, man, they won't quit eating. And we'll hang out in the coolest places at the tournament site with familiar faces. Every good bowfisher gonna wind up there. Every bowfishing honey with their dark brown hair. And well, hey, I wanna be a bowfishing star. Hey, I wanna be a bowfishing star. There's more, just wait. I'll shoot buffs in Texas without the hassle. Hire 8 bodyguards for the boat launch. We'll sign a couple autographs so I can eat quick trip for free.
I'll have the quesadilla.
I'm gonna dress my ass in camo fashion. Get a front door key to Tommy Woods' mansion. Gonna date a good girl that spends money on anchor QTs.
So how you gonna do it?
I'm gonna trade this life for bowfishing fame. Might even cut my mullet and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be bowfishing stars, shooting fish all night, talking 40-pound carp. The fish come easy and the gear comes cheap. The carp ain't skinny, man, they won't quit eating. And we'll hang out in the coolest places at the tournament sites with familiar faces. Every good bowfisher gonna wind up there. Every bowfishing honey with their dark brown hair. And well, hey, I wanna be a bowfishing star. Hey, I wanna be a bowfishing star.
Oh my goodness! That sounded like that has the same tone of voice as you, Schmitty.
Isn't that weird? I heard that. I'm like, me, oh my, this is
and
crazy.
You knew every word for heart already.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've listened to it probably 100 times.
That was awesome, buddy. That was awesome.
Oh man. Yep.
Heck of a job.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you.
That was great.
Once the mind started going, that maybe took to write the lyrics was maybe 15 minutes. But,
wow.
But then the aspect of recording it to the beat is a little bit more tricky.
Yeah,
so I'd had to do that. I was up here.
Very nice.
I was trying to record that. I'm sitting here trying to do it. I would run out of breath so bad. There's a couple cuts of it where I'm sitting there. Hey. I'm like, oh crap! All right, start over. I don't know how they do it. Yes.
Good job.
The old bowfishing star. Yes, absolutely.
Good job.
I think
and
we should.
You even threw in Tommy Woods Mansion in there. I heard that.
If Tommy's listening to this, he's going to hear that and be like, "What the hell is going on here?" Absolutely.
Oh.
Yep. We're talking about clubs, bowfishing clubs. I got the BAA membership in there. That's the club for me. Absolutely.
Very nice.
Yeah. Date a good girl who spends money on anchor QTs.
And I hear that your girl has dark brown hair.
Dark brown hair. That fit the song lyric. That's what worked for it.
I was when that came up, I was expecting blonde, but
that is in the original. I switched it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I had to switch it up a little bit.
Very
I don't
nice.
I don't want any copyright strikes or anything.
Oh yes.
So I had to flip that around a little bit. But yeah,
nicely done, Schmitty.
Bowfishing Star by DJ Schmitty Productions.
I love the beginning of that. Oh, listen to that.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
DJ Schmitty Productions.
I figured you'd appreciate that. I wanted to play that for everyone.
Heck of a job. That was freaking awesome.
I think I don't know. Maybe as the big 20 teams are leaving, maybe we could have that blasting on a speaker somewhere.
DJ Schmitty Productions.
Yep. Yes. That was fun to do. I'm not going to lie.
I hope everybody enjoyed that because that was pretty sweet. That was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yep.
Speaking of, we talked about the tournaments in the beginning here.
Right.
I'd like to go back to our last podcast and tell a little story, Derrick.
Oh, story time. All right.
The question that was asked was, how do you guys shoot big fish with a troller? And my response is like to move slow when I bowfish.
Yep.
Well, that got me to thinking back to 2017 in the Bass Pro U.S. Open down in Missouri that year. I'm shooting with Dennis Redden, Damian Loveless, Jeremiah Redden.
Some killers.
And like I said about that question was asked, is a lot of people probably don't like to bowfish with me. They would get very bored because I move very slow.
Sure. Yep.
Well, that specific year, Derrick, there was a lot of flooding in that area, and all the lakes were jacked high. And when I mean high, I'm not talking 2 or 3 feet. I'm talking 20 feet.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, literally parking lots underwater, parking ramps underwater, trees completely underwater, flooded fields everywhere. It's crazy.
Was I with you on this trip? Did I run the booth at the open while you guys were shooting?
You could have.
Because I remember going down there with you, and we were like driving past ball diamonds that were underwater.
Yes.
Like you could, like it would come up to like the 4th row of the bleachers was the water.
Yep.
I might have. Okay. All right. Anyway, continue.
So, scouting, we found some good fish back in some flooded areas. We found some good buffs in the flooded areas. Well, once you know it, the water was slowly going back down a little bit, and that pulls fish out of those areas.
Yep.
So the day of the tournament, Dennis and I drove down to the tournament headquarters.
Okay.
And Damien and Jeremiah went out to check one more time, do some checking for some different spots because we knew the water was going to be going down.
Yep.
And they found an island out there that had some good structure around it, some good grass around it, and it was the right water depth that we wanted our fish to be in.
Okay.
So the tournament starts. We go out to our first spots where we get scouted, and there wasn't a lot of fish there.
Not much going on. Okay.
Not much going there. Went back to a different cove where we had found some good fish. There was we popped a couple, nothing big.
Yep.
Just a couple smaller carp and some small little buffs and some dink gar and stuff. And finally we said, all right, let's go out to that island. Okay. So we're going around the island. And as we're trolling, we could notice the weeds that were maybe 3 to 4 inches underneath the water.
Okay.
We could notice the tops of those were twitching.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we completely slowed down to a complete crawl. Okay. To sometimes where we just were sitting there.
Sure.
And we would see those
twitchy
weeds. And we were literally looking straight down over the boat.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, you'd catch a tail. And that's all you really had to shoot at.
Sure.
We were popping some buffs out of there.
Really? Wow.
And like I said, we were just barely moving. We were just, like I said, sometimes we were just sitting still.
Yep.
We did that, and we're popping some good fish. We're popping some good buffs. Not a lot of them, but we're getting into the good fish that we want to have in our boat for tournaments.
Yep.
Somebody looked up, and way down, we could see lights heading our way. So we shut our lights off, and we motored to a bank pretty far away, and the boat came in to that island. We sat over there in the complete darkness.
Okay. I'm curious what you're going to say.
It was a fan boat.
Aha.
Okay. Literally, we watched him for not a very long time, but he went right through the whole area that we had been shooting. Went right through there, buzzed. Worked that whole bank and that whole island, that whole stretch of that island. Maybe he covered that in maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
He got to the end of that island, heard the fan shut off, heard the outboard shut off, away he went.
Sure.
We sat there, gave it another 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes or so, slipped right back in there, popping buffs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So there's a prime example of working slow, work to your benefit.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We ended up taking 4th, I think, that year in the U.S. Open. But,
cool.
Sometimes you need to be a little patient.
Mm-hmm.
I know it kills you when you want to be on the move looking for fish, but like I said, I just like to work slow, and that was one example that I thought of,
Sure.
of working stuff slow.
Yeah. And
sometimes we hardly moved.
Especially at hats off, during tournament night, you've got a lot of thoughts going through your head. This is slower. We got to go find fish. To be able to sit there and go, okay, let's slow down.
Mm-hmm.
There's fish here. We just got to be able to find them. That's a tough thing to do too with
Absolutely.
that tournament mindset.
You can't panic.
You're wanting to get up and go.
Right.
Oh, there's not fish here. We got to leave.
Right.
And you guys were able to slow it down, detail-oriented, and you're able to pick off some pretty nice fish.
The team that came through that we watched, he come through there, fanning, going over top, that same stuff that we were just in, shooting buffs in.
Sure.
He didn't, he's going a little faster. He's probably going 3-4 miles an hour.
Right.
Where we're just sitting.
Yep.
And he went right over top of all those fish.
Wow.
And the way he went, he got into that and gone. He's like, there ain't no fish here.
Right.
Gone.
Right.
Went right back in there.
Yeah,
popping buffs.
That's a great story. That's totally lays right into what we discussed last week.
Right.
Different ways to do stuff like that.
So I just wanted to throw that little example out there of sometimes just slow down.
Yeah. So you guys are shooting a tournament that night, Matt. We are 1 month away. Today is April.
Wow.
Was it the 16th today?
Wow.
It is the 16th. We are 1 month and 1 day away from the Big 20.
Yes. And April 22nd is the last day that you can register to get your free tournament shirts.
Okay, yes. Register, people.
April 22nd.
Yep.
After that, you don't get the free T-shirts.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. So make sure to do that. Matt and I are going to run off a little bit of a list of some of the categories along with the prizes that we're going to be giving away. Mm-hmm. First one here, heaviest common carp is going to win a megamouth reel.
Nice.
How cool is that?
Wow.
Yep, we're going to be giving a megamouth weight to the biggest common carp. That should be fun to see what that weight comes in as.
Absolutely. The heaviest buffalo is going to win an Oneida Eagle bow donated by Oneida Bows.
Very nice, very nice. Heaviest gar getting $500 of cash donated by Miller Graphics and Design.
Wow.
Very generous. That's awesome.
Yeah. I know Miller Graphics and Design, Jordan Miller, they put the wrap on our last boat.
Yep. Jordan was in here, I think, maybe a day or two ago.
Yeah, they're all
some
boat fishing,
megamouth
buy some stuff.
Yep. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. The heaviest drum is going to win an RPM Striker bow donated by the Wisconsin Bowfishing Association.
Awesome. Heaviest quillback is going to get some efficiency bowfishing lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. They're a sponsor of ours. We use them on the boat. They work fantastic. That's going to be a heck of a prize there for the heaviest quill.
Very nice. And we've got the heaviest dogfish is going to win a Vader Saber X donated by Steve Colbrine and Vader Bows. That's one of their fastest bows that they have.
That's awesome.
Right.
A couple of the other prizes, Matt, that we'll be raffling or having different giveaways for. Umarex air rifles, gift certificates from Bowfishing Extreme and Muddy Flats. The average Joe winner gets a 2-day Stingray trip with the Brossman boys Bowfishing and Corey Brossman. G5 is donating Matthews bow. We're going to give away a Matthews bow.
Right. It's a phase 4, I believe. It's a phase 4.
Oh, okay.
It's black. It's sharp-looking bow.
Yep. Cool. Powertran, another donator there. End Designs, Interlock, Raptor Razor, Brody Baits, Fox Pro. The list goes on. We're going to have all kinds of stuff that you guys can walk away from the tournament with.
And also, our new sponsor, Painted Arrow, has donated some of those awesome little brackets that you put on your side of your bow.
The Mag Pros.
The Mag Pros. And you put your little camera in there, and you put your cell phone in there, and record your shots.
Yep, absolutely.
We're going to be giving away some of them as well.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more stuff coming, I'm sure. We haven't gotten everything yet.
Yep.
We've got one thing that's always fun is Jeff Nibel sends up from End Designs those Trump fish towels.
Oh, yes, the fish towels.
Make bow fishing great again.
Yep. We got a couple of them in the boat. They come in handy. They come in handy a lot.
The towels come in handy for your hands.
Yes, they do. Yeah. Absolutely. Matt, you don't know about this donation yet, but I contacted DJ Schmitty Productions. He's going to be handing out free CDs.
Oh.
DJ Schmitty Productions.
So, I called him up. He's going to do some donating as well. So that'll be just another little prize for everybody there. So that'll be pretty cool. It'll be pretty fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep. Looking forward to it.
Very cool. Well, Schmitty, last week we had our Q&A podcast. And we had Jocelyn Teschner.
Yep.
Wanted to know a question that she sent in after we had the podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
What did she ask on that, Schmitty?
Well, Jocelyn knows the difference between what we're all going to talk about here, but she did say that she had some good conversations with some fellow shooters at a boat ramp who had some questions on our different varieties of arrows that we sell. Right. Now, I will admit, let me just run through these names here. Pretend you don't know a single thing about bowfishing, Matt, okay? KSFX, KSXL, KSQT, Anchor QT, Anchor FX. That's a lot of names and letters that might be, if you're not quite in the bowfishing community, if you're just kind of getting into the sport, that might be a little bit of an overwhelming thing to try to decipher which one is which.
Right.
So we're going to do a little bit of a breakdown on each of these points. Something that people don't necessarily know is our FX stands for fixed.
Fixed.
You've got to release the tip. QT stands for quick turn. You just got to move that arrow, twist that arrow shaft to get that barbs to release. So I'll kick it off with the first one here, Matt. Our KSFX.
Yes.
We sell a ton of them. It's a 2-barb point, short body with rounded barbs, stainless steel construction, an inch and an eighth of holding area, and it is a tip turn release. It's what we sell on a lot of our bow kits in the past. Our combo kits have it. They're a great point. Like I said, hardened cyclone tip.
Yes.
Everything is machined here in the shop.
Right.
Don't have to worry about any tariffs or anything like that because it's made right here. So our KSFX.
And we're always going to have them on hand. We're never going to run a short.
No.
Because we make them right here in-house.
Yes, exactly. No inventory issues. So, yeah, KSFX, 2-barb point, tip turn release.
Right.
Great, fantastic point.
Right. Moving on, we got the Chaos XL, okay? Short body, 2 heavy-duty, wire-rounded barbs. Now, the barbs are longer on the XL versus the Chaos FX.
Same point, but extra long barbs. XL standing for extra long. Power.
You've got 1 inch and 5/8 of holding area, and that as well is a tip turn release. So you have to poke the tip through and turn the tip 2 or 3 turns, and that releases those barbs. Same thing, the heat-treated cyclone tip on there.
Absolutely. Yep. And all our points come with that heat-treated cyclone tip. You've done a lot of rock testing.
Yes.
Remember back at the old shop, you'd have that flat rock that you'd always be shooting the hooter shooter into to test that. So we've done a lot of testing with those tips. Jumping into probably my favorite point, Matt, we're jumping into the QT portion now.
Right.
Our Chaos QT is a short body, 2 heavy-duty rounded barbs, stainless steel construction, 1 inch and 5/8 holding area, but it is a shaft turn release.
Right.
All right. Very similar to the Chaos FX, but this one is a shaft turn. You've just got to twist that arrow shaft. No need to poke it all the way through the fish to loosen the tip.
Right.
It is a shaft turn that we crimp. We talked about it in the last podcast, but we crimp that ferrule so you can never completely unthread it off in a fish and have to go digging around for that ferrule.
Right.
So a 2-barb point. Turn the shaft to release the fish. Same heat-treated tip on there as well, cyclone tip.
Yep. Moving on to our Anchor series, Schmitty. We've got 2 of them. We've got the Anchor QT, which is probably my favorite point that I like to use.
I would agree. Yep. That's what I meant.
The Anchor points have a short body and 3 collapsible barbs for exceptional small entry hole, maximum penetration and holding power. Stainless steel construction. The cyclone tip, like we talked about, 2 inches of holding power, and the QT is a shaft turn release. So you just turn your arrow shaft counterclockwise, and that'll release those barbs. And they will not separate because they are crimped, which is an awesome little feature.
And we put an internal O-ring on the ferrule and the body so that there is resistance there, that a fish is not going to just be able to be fighting after you shoot it and spin itself off of there. We do that for a reason. Like you said, they're crimped. It's a fantastic point. Not only is it great for getting that arrow out of fish, but also when you miss a fish and you bury your arrow 10 inches into the cattails, you can just reach down and you don't have to pull it out. You just twist that arrow shaft and out she comes. Perfect.
And I tell you, that's so handy, Derrick, especially when we're shooting in like areas like Green Bay, where we're shooting into cattails. Cattail root system is incredibly strong and long, and it spreads. And when you're shooting into cattails, they're all mixed down there. And it's a mess if you miss a fish. Well, now you can just go back to your arrow, reach over the side of the boat, grab your arrow shaft, turn it counterclockwise, just like you're taking it out of a fish and pulling it out of the root system. Great.
It's very nice. It's also very nice when you're up on the boat with Matt, and Matt points and he goes, shoot that gar, and I draw back and I center punch it, of course, and it ends up being a log. It's also nice to get it out of a log as well. So just another benefit there. So that was our Anchor QT. Now we're going to move on to the Anchor FX. Short body, 3 collapsing barbs for an exceptionally small entry hole, maximum penetration and holding power. Again, stainless steel construction, heat-treated cyclone tip, 2.5 inches of holding power. They've got a 1/2 inch more holding power than the Anchor QT, but the FX is a tip turn release. You got to poke that arrow through the fish, loosen the tip, pull it out, tighten your tip back down, and now you're ready to rock and roll again.
Great thing about the Anchor FX, 3 barbs, you do not have to remove that tip for those barbs to fold. Couple turns on there, bleep, pull it back out, ready to rock and roll.
And then when we jump over to the Megamouth side of things, Matt, we have the Quad Lock. Quad standing for 4. All right, the Quad Lock has 4 barbs on it. Same design and construction as the Anchor QT. stainless steel ferrule and body, heat-treated tip, but it's got 4 barbs. 2 of them are long,
Right.
2 of them are short. You've got 2 inches by 2.5 inches of holding power. Same type of deal, shaft turn release, easy removal from fish, and what we liked about the 2 short, 2 long barb system, okay? If you're shooting in deeper water or you shoot at a fish and you do not get great penetration, the 2 shorter barbs will not nearly take as much penetration to be able to engage with that fish.
Right.
Now, if you get all 4 of those barbs into that fish, which is not difficult to do, it is locked down.
Hang on.
That fish is coming in the boat. So that is our quad lock. We sell that on the megamouth side of things.
Right.
So, yeah.
And like we said, all of our points made right here in-house in the USA.
Yes. Designed in-house
Right.
as well. We do the whole deal from step 1 of getting a big 12-foot piece of stainless bar stock here to machining it, to pinning it, to packaging it, the whole deal.
Right.
In-house here, which especially in these times with the tariffs, that is awesome.
Absolutely.
That we're doing that.
Yep. We're never going to run out of them.
Nope. So one other thing that Jocelyn brought up, Matt, and I'm gonna give this one to you. You'll be able to more accurately answer this question. How to prepare as a bow fisherman or bow fisher woman for the spawn?
Oh. It's kind of like preparing for the rut.
I guess so. Yep.
You get excited.
Yep.
It's going to be action-packed.
It's a week or 2 of just wild fun.
Going to work.
If you hit it right.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a couple different stages here, Schmitty.
Okay.
Just thinking about the spawn and stuff like that there. I can remember years ago when we knew that the fish were spawning and it was going to be chaotic and hectic.
Okay.
We would grab as many fish tubs, barrels as we could get.
Sure. Yep. Stack them all together.
We'd stack them together. We'd go out. Don't wear good clothes because it's going to be a mess.
Yep.
I like to wear a light pair of rain pants and a crappy shirt.
So you're saying don't wear $85 Ariat jeans?
No.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, noted. Okay.
You're going, and your shoes are going to get absolutely filthy.
Yeah.
Nowadays, back then I would wear an old pair of tennis shoes. Nowadays they have those deck boots.
Yep.
I love those deck boots.
Yep. Waterproof.
Yep. I love the deck boots because you can just hose them off, clean them off, and
pressure wash them if you need to.
Right. But like I said, years ago, we used to take a pile of dumpsters. Be prepared to have a place to take those fish.
Yes. Yep.
Because there's times when you can come back with every one of your barrels full, and you might have the boat full, and you might have the truck box full of fish.
Right.
You need to have an idea of what you're going to be doing with those fish because you're not going to be dumping them into ditches. You're not going to be dumping them back into the water here in Wisconsin anyways.
Right.
You cannot do that.
Yep.
All right. There are some states where you can sit and slink.
Yep.
Sit and slink. I think about the slinky. The wonderful world of slinkies.
Slit and sink.
There we go. There
Okay,
we go.
Gotcha.
But here in Wisconsin, we cannot do that.
Right.
So you have to take your fish with you. Have a plan of what you're going to do with those fish.
Yep.
Like I said, all it takes is one bad apple to make us all look bad.
Yeah. Yep.
So years ago, like I said, take a bunch of barrels, go out, whack and stack, just go crazy, have a good time, have fun. Now I approach it a little differently, Derrick.
Okay.
I don't need to whack and stack. Sometimes I like to just sit there and watch.
Sure.
Just to see stuff. I like to sometimes just sit in one spot and see what comes by me.
Sure.
Sometimes I like to bowfish narrows. I love to fish little narrows, bottlenecks, where you're getting fish moving back and forth. A lot of times you're getting some of these fish that are coming in from the deeper part. They're just coming in to start spawning.
Yeah.
I like to look at the spawn nowadays as more of a hunt.
Sure.
I like to target bigger fish.
Yep.
We're always sitting there in the buff spawn. There'll be 4 or 5 fish that break the surface in front of you. And I'm always trying to find the hole.
Deciphering which one is the big female.
And which one is a big female.
Right. Yep.
I like to do that. I like to take my time because I'm getting old, Schmitty. I'm getting old.
You can never grow old.
I can't dump all them fish and throw them all into the manure pit like I used to anymore. I'm getting old.
Yeah. How old are you now, Matt?
51.
Holy moly, wow.
51, 52, I don't know.
Yeah, you lose count once you get up there.
52, I don't know.
Yeah, yep.
But I approach it differently now, Derrick. I'm not all gangbusters now.
Sure, yep.
I like to be a little more selective. I just slow down, and I like to more of a hunt.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's
kind of
a great
how
way
I
to look
prepare
at it.
for the. I don't got to tote around as many barrels and stuff, and have the boat choked full of fish and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and I just slow down.
Yeah. All right, I've got a couple little things just in listening to you that I'd like to bring up as far as preparation for the spawn. Number one, this does not have to do with it at all, but in my brain, you'll always be 40. You're 40 years old. In 20 years, you'll be 40. To me, you don't act like a 51-year-old. You're a very active 51 or 52-year-old. I think that's cool. Never grow old, please, because.
Okay. Can we tell everybody what we did yesterday?
What we did yesterday?
Yeah. We were in the break room, and
oh, come on! We do not. Sure, share your story, Matt. If it makes you feel like a big, strong man.
Can we share it? Or
sure. Yeah, I don't care.
So Wendy brought in some delicious venison jalapeno cheddar snack sticks.
Not to toot my own horn, but it was a doe I shot for them. Yeah. Honk, honk.
They were great.
They were delicious. Custom meats and marathon.
So she opened them up, and she gave them to everybody down in the break room there, all the employees, and we're snacking away on them. And there was one left in the little bag there, and Schmitty was holding on to it, and he goes, "Who wants the last one?" And he goes, "I'll arm wrestle anybody for it."
Rather confidently, I said this.
I said, "I'll arm wrestle you."
A slight feeling of fear overtook me a little bit, but then we sat down. I thought, you know what? We're going to do it. Whatever.
So I said, "Left hand." He said, "Yep, okay." So we went left-handed. What happened, Schmitty?
Well, you see, when I was 14 years old, I dislocated my left elbow.
Okay, all right.
No,
I'll give you that.
What proceeded to happen was one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had in my life. Okay, we're sitting there locked in. Nobody's moving. We're both going, and we're just locked in. I look at Matt. He's smiling at me. And these words come out of his mouth. He goes, "Are you actually trying?" I was trying. He was not trying. When he decided to try, things did not go well for Team Schmitty. I got put down on the table pretty quick. Pretty quick.
Yeah, yep. So then, since he dislocated his elbow, that he says, I said, "Okay, we'll go right-handed then.
Same thing happened.
Oh my goodness! I'm laughing here, choking.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
But now let's do a vertical jump challenge and a 40-yard dash.
Whoop my butt.
We'll see. I was wrong to think I was going to win it in arm wrestling.
My butt.
Okay.
That was fun, though.
That was good. That was good. That was pretty good.
We had a good time doing that.
Okay, back to my little things about the spawn.
Yeah.
Preparation for the spawn. How many times, Matt, have we been out shooting the spawn, whether it be commons, buffs, whatever it might be here in Wisconsin, and we're going along, we work ourselves back into a nice warm bay. There are pods spawning in the distance. We're seeing them going around, and we're like, oh, okay, well, one just went over there. Let's slowly troll that direction. We get over to where they were. Now they're 20 yards this way. And you start to play
the chase game.
I do this all the time.
Yep.
I've learned not to do this.
Yep, exactly.
Fishing with my live scope. Don't chase schools of fish around. Get in the general area and stay.
Hunker.
Yes. And I think I think some of these fish, they just start to get more spooky of these boats making noise. But how many times has that happened? Where we're trying to, there's fish everywhere, but for some reason they're not within shooting distance of the boat.
Right.
So like you said, we have had great luck just sitting still and just let those fish spawn towards you. You'd be amazed how many times those fish end up working in your direction.
Right.
And if nothing else, it gives you a little bit more time to try to decipher which one of those fish is the one that you want to shoot.
Right.
You know, you don't want to shoot the 3 or 4 15-pound males that are on each side of a 40-pound female.
Right.
That's just something that I thought of.
Yep, that's a good point, because how often is it, years ago where we'd be sitting there and all of a sudden, boom, the fish would break the surface out there at 40 yards, and you go, oh, my God, look at the tail on that one.
Yep.
Look at the tail on that one. Troll over there and get all quiet and troll over there. Get over there and wait.
Camera's rolling.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right back where you came from.
Yep.
Water's erupting.
Yeah, right.
Like, go back over there. You play that chasing game, and sometimes it's better
tough.
to hunker down.
Absolutely. This is kind of more of a little bit of an organization technical portion of preparing for the spawn. One thing, things happen in bow fishing. Have extra arrows in the boat.
Right.
In case something happens, you lose an arrow in the water. You don't want to go out on the spawn, you and a buddy, and you guys each have one arrow to your name. One thing goes wrong, and now you're screwed. That's not necessarily going to be a great situation to be in.
Yep.
Another thing, a lot of times during the spawn, you might get into bigger fish than you've shot all year long.
Right.
Having some sort of gaff in the boat is also very important.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Have a gaff there. You try to lift that fish up. A lot of times those females are soft. If you shoot them in the belly, you might rip through them. Having a gaff to pop them in the head or in the back shoulders is huge. And one thing that we do more than other people, Matt, but I've been in a situation where it is just an absolute disaster. During the buff spawn or whatever spawn you're shooting, there are eggs and blood and slime all over the place. Okay? When those eggs dry,
glue,
they are the most insane, sticky, crusty, crunchy thing you can possibly imagine. You're not going to get it off in the wash. You're not easily going to get it off your boat. When we have a little break in the action, what do, Matt?
Scrub down the boat.
We scrub down the deck, and that makes a huge difference in not letting those eggs dry on to that boat. It's not necessarily, it's not going to help you be more successful, but the next day you'll appreciate
when you go to clean your boat.
That.
Yes.
Yep.
We have that little Milwaukee water pump.
Which works great.
You got the hose, and you just hose it down. And got a brush in the boat. You just kind of scrape the eggs off the side. You get them in the light rails, and you get them on the shooting deck, and you get them on everywhere on the floor. And I tell you what, if you don't get all those eggs flushed out of your boat that are in the back of your boat, after a week of warm weather, those eggs turn into mush and they turn into rotten smell.
Yeah.
It's strong. I mean, it'll knock your socks off.
Yeah. Yep.
Those eggs turn rotten.
Yep. It'll help keep your garage or boat smelling a little bit better if you just take those couple precautions
Absolutely.
there. So I hope that answered Jocelyn's question a little bit, just a couple different ways to better prepare yourself for an upcoming spawn, which hopefully will be here soon. Matt, I will point this out. Okay. What did I do 2 weeks ago on the podcast?
You had your goggles on, your podcast goggles on.
How was the weather for the Mud and Chub tournament this past weekend?
It was great.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mother Nature. The plan worked all along.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good job.
Yep. This weekend looks nice, so hopefully we're making the upward turn towards warmer weather.
Yep. And speaking of buffs, I am going to be going out bow fishing tonight with the Wisco Wildman, Mr. Maverick Riley.
That's great. That's fun. You guys have fun. That should be fun.
We asked you to go along.
But since I am a responsible working adult, I said, no, thank you. I have to be at work at 5 in the morning.
I got to be here at 5 in the morning.
You are not going to be here at 5 in the morning.
I got to be here at 5 in the morning.
You are not going to be here at 5 in the morning. Now that I just said this, I know you will be here at 5 in the morning just to prove me wrong. But no.
So I hope I'm taking the scale tonight because of our buffalo bet. Whoever shoots the biggest buffalo, the loser has to wear a dress.
On a podcast episode.
Yep. So I'm going to make sure that the cloud scale is in my truck when I go down to meet Maverick tonight.
I hope it doesn't disappear between now and then. That would be a shame.
You sure you don't want to come along?
I made the mistake when we made this bet of thinking that you were a decent human being, Matt. I thought that the bet was only for when you and me are in the same boat together so that we could have back and forth while we're filming, during this bet.
That never came
I
up.
guess Matt can just go out with anybody now and shoot a buff and lie about the weights, and I'm just held responsible
I'll
for it.
guarantee I'll record it. I got my cell phone.
I don't approve of this, but I'm stuck. And
I might even get it on. I might even record the shot with my Painted Arrow Mag Pro
H2O mount.
H2O mount.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. Well, I hope you have a fantastic evening on the water. I hope you shoot lots of big commons.
Did you see the weather right now? It's gorgeous out
Today
here.
is very nice.
The day before and yesterday we had like 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It was cold. It was today coming in. It was like I had like 32 degrees.
Yeah.
It was frost all over the place.
Yep.
The sun come out. It's a clear sky.
Yeah.
We might shoot some big buffs tonight. You sure you don't want to come along? You're more than welcome to come along, and you can play the same game tonight if you want.
Couldn't we play DJ Schmitty Productions while we're fishing?
Absolutely.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm not sure.
All right.
I'll let you know.
All right.
I'll let you know. So, well, I tell you what, Matt.
Yeah.
I think it is time for us to go retrieve our special guest.
Yes.
That is coming up. Jody's going to sit right at the table with us.
I just got a text. He is down in the office right now.
Oh, my gosh. All right. We will go get him. We're going to talk to Jody Bigalke, the most recent inductee of the BAA Hall of Fame. Learn a little bit about what Jody's future looks like, some different things that he's seen change in the last couple of years. But we'll get right to that after this quick commercial break. Are you looking to elevate your bowfishing brand with stunning design solutions? Look no further than N Designs. Their team of talented designers is dedicated to bringing your vision to life. Whether it's t-shirts, hats, leather products, eye-catching logos, to captivating boat wraps, they have you covered. Plus, with their commitment to excellence and attention to detail, you can trust that your project is in good hands. Don't settle for ordinary. Choose N Designs for extraordinary results. Visit their website today and let's bring your ideas to life. N Designs, where creativity meets excellence. Efficiency Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. A color tone adjustable and dimmable light with a unique patented reflector design that puts more light where you need it. Efficiency Bowfishing Lights offer 3 different models: the 65-watt single-color economy light, the 65-watt Efficiency V2 tricolor dimmable light for maximum efficiency and versatility, and the 130-watt Efficiency Maximus, designed to be an all-out beast of a bowfishing light. Efficiency, designed and built by bowfishermen for bowfishermen. Check them out at OutdoorInnovationsUSA.com. All right, welcome back, everybody, after that short commercial break. What do we have going on here?
We have got Jody Bigalke in the Bowfishing Buzz studio.
Yep, this is not a call-in. This is not a FaceTime call. He is here in the flesh.
Yes.
In the studio.
Thanks for joining us, Jody. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Absolutely.
It's, like we said earlier in the podcast, you were on podcast episode number 3 6 years ago, and you were on episode 69 right around 2 years ago as well.
Yeah.
And it's great to have you back. We have you on here for a reason, because we want to congratulate you on something. But first, we're going to get into some other topics here, Jody, because, like I said, a lot has happened in your bowfishing career since you last joined us 6 years ago. We talked about stuff before that, but I'd like to know, has your approach to bowfishing changed over the last 6 years since we last had you on a pretty big podcast there?
Yeah, I would say that I probably don't get as serious about the tournaments as I was back then.
Yep.
Of course, when you enter, you still want to win, but I always say, yeah, I'll go and shoot that tournament, but we're not going to scout. you know how that works.
Oh, yeah. Yep, exactly.
We tend to still do a little scouting, but definitely not as hard as I was doing it back then.
Yeah.
But I try to have more fun, be a little more relaxed.
Yeah. Yep.
Over the last couple years, I've started day shooting a lot more.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Down on the river more?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's day shooting on the Mississippi River is pretty cool. I know not many people do it. In fact, I probably do it 15, 20 times a year.
Oh, wow.
Lucky to ever see anybody
out
there.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And, of course, I like doing the perch fishing and the bluegill fishing. Kind of goes right along with it. You have that day that the perch aren't biting, and you might be able to find a school of carp or something. But
I know since you were on a podcast 6 years ago, you lived, hour away from some of the boat lanes on the Mississippi River, where now you have a nice little cabin right alongside the Mississippi River down there. It's awesome. Beautiful. It's great.
It's kind of right in the middle of the areas we like to fish. And it's close to some friends down there. So
very nice.
That makes it easy.
Absolutely.
Makes it nice for you sometimes.
Absolutely.
If you ever come.
It's been a year. We just talked about it's been a year since I've been down there. We didn't bowfish or ice fish at all last year together. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was a different year. I went into the year, I wasn't going to shoot tournaments last year for the WBA. And then after the first tournament, I got a call from a good friend who wanted to know if I would shoot with him. So I did end up shooting. And
nice.
Yeah.
That was just this past weekend, wasn't it?
No, I'm talking last year.
Last year, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Last year, I ended up shooting with Jesse Hintz.
And yes, that's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we actually won Team of the Year, so that was pretty cool.
How many Team of the Years do you have now, Jody?
I'm not sure. 5 or
I know
6
I have
probably.
two with you. I have 2 of them with you together.
Yeah. When you lose count of how many you have, that's a good thing. That's crazy.
That is cool.
Wow.
You said you kind of took a step back from the scouting portion of tournaments. So I remember you telling a story when we had you on here 6 years ago. I remember when you scouted for the Big 20 that year. You had to do an oil change because you've put on over 3,000 miles of scouting and stuff for that tournament. So I'm taking it no more oil changes for scouting?
52 years, I think, or 52 lakes, I think I went to that year.
Oh, my.
Lakes and rivers. But, I mean, sometimes there was 3-4 in a night,
Yeah.
Just a quick
check.
After a while, you learn that you don't, and I think that's important for some of the younger guys to learn, is you don't need to go find every fish.
Right.
You got to go find where the fish are, and then sometimes you're better off getting out of there.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I think I've learned that. And you shot with me a lot, and you know that, especially with the WBA tournaments that tend to be in the same areas, same time of year.
Right.
Makes it a little easier because if conditions are similar to what they were in the past, you go look and see if fish are in a certain area, and then you probably know they're going to be there on tournament night.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm still driving that same old truck though.
That's crazy.
That truck had 20,000 miles on it when I bought it back in probably 7-8 years ago, and it's got 210 on it now.
Wow. A lot of bow fishing miles on that
and
truck.
Almost all of the miles had that boat behind it.
Yep. Wow.
Whether it was, of course, in the early days, it was a fan boat with an outboard. Now it's an airboat. But, yeah.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Two, I'm going to rewind here. One, Matt's always showing me pictures of the perch and the bluegills all the time. And I remember you also telling me, Matt, about all the scouting that Jody would do for those tournaments.
Oh gosh,
just crazy.
You were very hardcore.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. That's what it took.
One thing I will say about that scouting, especially on the river, because of the perch and bluegill fishing, I have a new boat that I built for perch fishing / I've kind of learned how to scout that river in the daytime.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And so I have a mud motor boat that can put on some serious miles pretty quick during the daytime.
Sure.
And look at conditions more than anything.
Sure.
And so you can fish and scout at
Nice.
the same time.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's a little bit easier on the gas.
Yeah, I can run that thing for several days on 6 gallons of gas.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Yeah.
And it's easy to load. The airboat's
Right.
not that bad either, but sometimes, there's a lot of people on that river during the day, and that airboat can get a little annoying to people.
Sure. Yep.
So,
Yep. In that first podcast, like you said, Matt, episode 3, I think you said, Tournament Talk with Jody Bigalke.
Yep.
That is our most listened to podcast that we've ever had.
Yep.
Yeah. People are listening to it and then going back maybe they listen to it one year, they come back with similar questions and they listen to that again.
Yeah.
We've seen that very obviously. So that one did very well.
Right. And just touching up on that podcast, you guys, that was our first year of doing podcast. We were all sitting inside my office downstairs, talking into one snowball mic.
Yeah, we'd have to huddle in whenever we wanted to talk. And
you close the door in there, we were all crunched together.
Yep. I remember we'd be like listening to our early podcast. It's like,
oh my
how
gosh,
in the hell did anyone want to listen to this? This is terrible. Oh, so monotone. But yeah, that's good that we all got mics, we got headsets, so that's cool. We're growing as well.
Absolutely.
Jody, one thing I want to ask you is, what do you think the biggest change in bow fishing has been over the last 6 years? That is a loaded question. That's a lot to think about.
I mean, in Wisconsin here, like this past weekend, we had our tournament at Mud and Chub, and it has become very evident that airboats are the thing. Now, I will say that maybe 2 years ago, when you pulled in the parking lot, it was airboats and a few of your bigger John's custom boats.
Yep.
Now what you're seeing is airboats, dual mud motor rigs.
Yeah.
That is becoming really popular.
Sure.
Yep. The equipment, everybody's shooting good equipment nowadays. Everybody's learning how to sort their fish, how to transport their fish. I think, probably the guys that started all this stuff will kind of chuckle at how things are going now. But, the trend, I think, has turned more towards selective harvest in these tournaments the numbers guys that are still doing it are good.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're really good.
Yeah.
And the competition, I just off air, we were talking how at this last tournament, it was awesome to see. I think there might have been 9 boats in our WBA numbers division. And if when the results get posted, you're going to see that they were all close.
Oh, right. Wow.
Right.
Yep.
These guys. So even the teams that maybe haven't won one yet, they're right there.
Sure. Yes.
And the same thing is what you're seeing in our hobby class and in our Big 20 classes. These guys, everybody's figuring it out, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want to see. You want it to be, competitive and I think you see that I think the boats are safer now than what they were 10 years ago. Everybody seems to have nice equipment.
Yeah.
I think people have learned to be more courteous when they need to be.
That's good.
The club has been active in red zoning areas that they should, and I think hopefully the club is doing their job and educating the public, because I don't believe we got any complaints from this last
And
term.
that's
Good.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So-
And those are all just great points that you're bringing up. It just tells you how far bow fishing has come in a very short time.
Right.
Right. In a very short time.
Yep.
That you noticed that in the last, 6 years, where we've been bow fishing for many, many years.
Yeah.
Many years.
And something too with that, you said like the numbers class, everyone was really close. That makes everybody get better and better and better. If you have one team that shoots just 200 more fish than the second place team, well, that first place team is pretty content with everything. But when it's all close like that, everyone is trying to improve themselves. And pretty soon you've got a class of some really talented people.
Just off the top of my head, I think it was like 364 fish for first, and I think fourth might have been like 320.
Oh my gosh, well, it was stacked in there
was
tight.
right there, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Big 20 division, first place was 348 pounds, and we took third with 328.
Okay,
and
sure.
I think there was 2 teams that were in the 320s.
Wow.
Yeah, but
That's
right
great.
behind us.
Yeah.
So it's
And there was, 35 teams at the first tournament this year down there at Mud and Chub?
good turnout.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good turnout.
How was the hobby class, Jody? Was there quite a few teams in the hobby class?
Yeah, the hobby class has been just fantastic.
That's great.
You pull into a tournament now. Well, for example, I started my first tournament was in 2014 with the WBA, and I've only missed one tournament since then.
Oh, wow.
And so I should know everybody. Now, granted, I'm not real good with people's names, but I should know their faces.
Sure.
But, boy, you walk around that down there, and there was a lot of people that I didn't know.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
New
great.
people into the sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not only to you saying that so many new faces, so many new people that are getting into the sport. But then for you to say, yet there was still no complaints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Everybody's doing their job.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's awesome.
And you know that I don't enjoy necessarily the tournament itself. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm getting old.
No, you're not.
And at 1:00 in the morning, I'm like, oh boy, am I going to be able to make it? You know, and of course, one thing my captain and I were talking about yesterday, what you forget is mud and chub. You could literally start shooting at the boat launch, and we were still shooting at the boat launch in the morning because it's dark when you leave,
right,
and it's dark when you come back.
Yes,
so that's the longest tournament of the year.
Wow,
is the first tournament of the year.
I gotcha. Yeah. Yes,
so you haven't been on the boat for a year for that kind of hours anyway,
right.
And then for me this time, what was completely different was I wasn't driving. And anybody that's ever spent any time on a bow fishing boat knows that it's a lot harder on the body if you're not the one driving.
Sure.
The guy driving knows when he's going to turn. He knows when he's going to accelerate, knows when he's going to stop, and all of that. They call it your sea legs, getting your sea legs. Now, thank goodness we were on a kicker rig and not on an airboat, you know, because there's no way if I wasn't driving that I could have spent that many hours on the boat.
Sure.
But
how was that not captaining?
It was all right.
Yeah,
got to learn to keep the mouth shut. You know, it you know.
Was it easier for you to? Was it a little more relaxing for you?
Yeah. And I shot a lot more fish than what I ever do when I'm driving. As you know, I don't shoot very often when I'm driving. I've always, especially on our boat, my goal is to keep you guys, the front two corner guys, on fish. You know, my boat's designed so that the driver is in the middle and he's not really gonna be a shooter. You know, and you got 2 point men on both corners.
Yeah,
but you know, all the years that I was a captain, you always had to deal with the backseat drivers. You know.
Where should we go? Let's go over here.
Well, and I always had, usually it was, you know, the younger guys, Noah or Trace, and they learned not to say much, but they still would point. You know, that casual point in the arrow over here, and you know, if you're the captain, you kind of in your mind have a plan what you're doing as you're going down that slough or that riverbank or whatever, and of course you're not verbally telling everybody, okay, here's what my plan is here. And so sometimes they're seeing some activity over on the bank, which I probably see it too, but I want to come in at a certain angle on these fish so both Matt and Trace both can get a shot.
Sure.
And so Trace is over here pointing, you know, wanting me to. So that was something that I had to make sure the other night that I wasn't getting Eric upset by saying, hey, we should be going over here. We should try to go down this way, you know. And so that was different. Yeah. You know, but we had a nice relaxing night. We were on fish from the time
that's good.
You know, there was a couple slow times, but we actually found a spot like at 5 o'clock in the morning that if a numbers team would have come in there, they would have shot 50 fish in 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I shot in that tournament one time with you, Jody. Oh, that was a cold night, and we got wet.
Yeah.
We had to try to get up into that one slough in that one area, and we got stuck, and we had to get out and push, and I got soaking wet, and it was cold. Yeah. I think we were back in your truck in the weigh-in parking lot at 4 in the morning sleeping.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, I was showing everybody that video this weekend. And Matt sleeping in it.
That's rare. That's rare.
That's one of the only tournaments that I can remember where we actually
just said that's enough.
Well, we hadn't seen a fish in a couple hours.
Right.
Where this year, that's the people that did not show up at Mud and Chub, they missed it because there was fish.
That's what I heard.
And it was nice.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't May or June nice.
Yeah.
But it was not. We got sprinkled on just a little bit.
And this was a couple weeks earlier than normal as well.
I think over the last few years they've had really good fishing down there like a week or two before the tournament.
Okay.
This year they must have decided to see
Make
if
the
they
switch.
could hit it. You know, and,
Right.
Sure.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Cool. Cool.
So, Jody, on a lot of our Q&A podcasts that we have where people message us what they would like, their questions they would like us to answer and stuff.
Yep.
One of the topics that comes up in almost every one of them Q&As is, what is the best bow fishing boat? Now, you've had trollers, you've had fans, you've had airboats. What was your favorite out of your boats that you had?
Well, I guess favorite to win a tournament or favorite to shoot off?
Favorite?
Yeah. How about one? How about both?
I want to ask you,
Okay,
what is your
so-
favorite to win a tournament out of?
My airboat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the advantage to the airboat maybe isn't while you're fishing so much. It's when you've cleaned a spot and need to go to a next spot, things can happen faster. But it also helps you in the fact that you can go a little shallower maybe and maneuver in there. Obviously, there's the complaints that you can deal with. We actually had a person come to us at the boat launch on the Mississippi River at the last tournament last year, kind of a little upset with us, and we're like, we never ever were anywhere near any houses, any town, not one time.
Really?
But this guy pulled up to the boat launch when we were coming in, and of course we were like the fourth boat to come off, in the morning, and he was a little verbal with us. But and that stuff is just a lot of times the public not knowing what's going on.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And you see it on the internet all the time. People complaining a guy's bass fishing by your dock or something.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
People are always, but no. But my favorite boat was my 16-foot John boat that I pushed around with the push pole.
Really?
I was just telling somebody this the other day that when I first started bow fishing with Tess and Noah and some of the other kids, and we would go out north of the Buckhorn Bridge at night for a couple hours with our little 27-watt lights with a car battery up there, we could go for a couple hours, We didn't know that on the other side of the bridge down there on the lake that there was 5 or 6 big boats down there going on. Because there was nobody,
Right.
It was just, we thought we were the only ones doing it.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
And it was quiet. You could hear everything, and that's pretty cool. And that you were talking before about changes. That's one of the changes with these companies coming out with these nice lights that you can run without. There's several companies out there now making lights that you don't need to run generators.
Right.
So I think that's going to help in the long run for the sport, but especially for the people that want to shoot these populated lakes.
Yes.
You and I, we don't do much of that. We're typically, away
from everything as far as we
but
can.
some people don't have that luxury. They don't live in the middle of Wisconsin.
Right.
They live in the cities, and so that's a
That's a good point.
When you mentioned, Jody, there how you loved how quiet it was, you can sit there and talk to people. That's what I love about when we're running our efficiency lights, no generator. I can talk to Matt like this, no problem. We hear everything. Filming wise, it's great for filming, but that is
as soon
amazing.
as I turn the key in the fan, I can see him go.
Yeah. I was just going to say, if he thinks that boat's nice, he should fish on my airboat.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you notice. I had the same boat, basically, as your guys' boat.
Yeah.
Yep.
I built it, John built that right after you guys got your boat built. And the difference between fishing on my airboat compared to that fan boat, you can literally stand on my deck and talk to you. That airboat's so quiet.
Wow.
It's quieter than a fan.
Really?
Way quiet.
Okay.
But obviously it's not when you're on a pad.
Yep.
But when you're fishing,
It is quieter.
it's way quiet.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, you can actually talk to each other on the deck.
Wow.
Now this year I'm fishing on a kicker boat with a 4-stroke kicker that's running outrigger lights that are similar to the efficiencies, and we're running them off of the lithium battery, no generator.
It's so
So it's
nice.
quiet too.
Yep.
The only thing you hear is the steering
Sure. Yep.
You can hear the steering.
Is it like an actuator?
It's a power crank.
Power crank, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little electric actuator. Yeah, I think that's, you were asked before about changes. I think everybody is trying to make their stuff. Well, and that's not nothing new. I mean, back 10, 15 years ago when everybody was running actual generators.
Right.
Instead of the inverter generators, they were putting them in boxes and putting fans up, trying to make it quieter.
Yep.
Big HPS light boxes and stuff.
And try and enjoy the experience more. Obviously, if you're out there in nature, you want to be able to hear nature.
Right.
Yep. Well, Jody, you've obviously shot a lot of tournaments, lots of experience, lots of great memories. What's your tournament outlook looking like going forward? Are you going to be competing in tournaments coming up through this year?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot all the WBA, and then I'll be shooting the AMS.
Good deal.
Good deal. Even though I told Corey last year I wasn't going to do it.
I saw your name come through this year.
Yeah.
What the heck was it again? Oh. It had something to do with the little kid, because you guys are going to be shooting with Corey's son this year in the tournament, and he had a pretty funny name. I can't remember what the name was, but it was pretty funny. Yeah. When it come through, I knew right away who that was.
Sure. Yep. Something with Brody's name in it, or?
No, I think it had something to do with old and...
Yeah. 3 guys, 3 old farts, and a kid or something like that. Or something, something on that standard.
Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows? It was Corey. So. Who knows?
Yep. Well, I'm hoping that I get to at least shoot in one tournament with you. I always enjoyed the Mississippi tournament. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to shoot in the
State
Pete and Will on Castle Rock
tournament
with you, because we're going to be down at the World of Outlaw late models racing that weekend down in Fountain City, Wisconsin. So I want to miss that one, but I hope to get.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Castle Rock Pete and Will tournament, because the lakes they didn't lower the lakes this year as much as they normally did, especially Castle Rock. Now Pete and Will they did, but normally they start letting the water out in February. And they keep it low until the first week in May.
Right.
They actually brought the water back up before the ice went out. I was ice fishing on a Thursday, and the ice, you know how it lays down off the bank. It was laid down. And when I come back off that afternoon, the ice was almost level.
Oh, my gosh.
And I thought, well, I wonder what that. And they just kept bringing it up. And on that following Monday, the ice went off, and the lake's been full ever since. So I don't know what that's
I wonder why.
I was going to ask you, what I heard is there are some lakes that'll do that when the cattails are getting really too thick and they're just spreading out too much. They'll raise that water up with the ice on there, because when the ice goes out, it'll break all those off.
Oh, okay.
Did you notice any of the shoreline?
I've only been out there a couple times. So
okay.
I can't say. I do know that them cattails are really getting thick.
Yes.
And they didn't burn them this year like they did last year. Some of them spots that we're used to fishing the points, them cattails are, they're 100 feet out further than they were last year.
And that's why some reason they keep that ice up, that water up with the ice on it, because then when it goes out, it'll
crush it. I think it happened. I think it happened. I think it happened too fast for that to actually work.
Okay.
If that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah. That's interesting. Sure. Cool.
Yep. Well, Jody, you were on the WBA board. You were the WBA secretary, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. You were on the BA board. You were the state rep manager. Were you the vice president in the BA?
I was vice president both in the WBA and in the
BA.
Yep.
Like you said, fun shooting, taking kids out all the time, shooting with kids, your daughter, and Slimer in big tournaments. You've done a lot for the sport of bow fishing. A lot of your personal time dedicated to the sport of bow fishing. It's pretty cool. This past May, or is it March? I think it was March. The BAA holds its spring meeting. And at that meeting, you were inducted into the Bowfishing Hall of Fame. We got to give a little.
There we go.
That's so cool.
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
Old.
That's the first thing he says. Old.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When Alan called me and said that I had been nominated, I was like, it's something that never ever even crossed my mind. I mean, and at first I was like, nah, I don't. I mean, really? Why would you put me in the Hall of Fame? You know, especially when I look at people like Matt Schillinger in the Hall of Fame. You know,
boom, baby.
I mean, obviously, I'm not on that level.
Yes,
but,
you are. You did a lot for the sport, a lot.
But the more we talked about it, it's a huge honor. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, you know, when I had to write a little bio for him, and you start trying to remember everything, and you know, I've been doing this sport at different levels for a long time.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
that's very cool.
I think it's so cool because we have spent a lot of time on the water, a lot of hours on the water, shooting tournaments together. Just a great time. Always a good time. There's never any issues. There's never any. I always said that you were one of the calmest on the boat for being a captain and being the one in charge of driving the boat and taking us to our spots and getting us back in there safely and stuff. You were always super calm on the boat, which was awesome. You kind of kept everybody at that level.
Yep.
But we've spent a lot of time on the water. We've had, you know, you spend that long a time, you're talking a lot to each other. You're getting into some personal stuff there, and we've just always had a great time. And I truly enjoyed shooting in tournaments with you and spending that time on the water with you and doing it I think we did it at a pretty high level. We were pretty competitive. We had a pretty good drive, but yet we still enjoyed what we were doing, you know? And I think it's so cool that you were inducted into the Hall of Fame for everything that you've done, your dedication to the sport. That's a lot of hours of your personal time spent for the sport of bowfishing. And I think it's pretty cool that they noticed this.
Absolutely.
And induct you into the Hall of Fame. So that's cool, Jody. I'm glad that you're in there. You deserve it. You do deserve it. Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, it's been a pretty good run for Wisconsin here.
Yeah.
Last year was Ron Skirva from Wisconsin.
Right.
Year before that was Frederick Christian from F&D Archery. So
Cindy and Jeff
last year also. And making Wisconsin is definitely making an impact on bowfishing in this nation.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know? And it's a privilege to have been part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I agree with Matt that all of our time on the water has been awesome.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not sure that any teams can say that they've shot together for as long as we have, and I don't remember ever there being any hard feelings or conflict.
No, there never was
any argument.
No,
nothing.
That's rare. That's rare for that much time.
You know, there's times when I know I've shot without having Jody on the boat or shooting with him before that. There's times when I got pretty frustrated.
Sure.
You know, and I probably let my feelings known a little bit sometimes when I got mad, ticked off, something wasn't working right, something didn't happen, we lost a fish. I get pretty mad. Derrick's over there just holding his tongue, biting his tongue.
Yeah,
but
I think I probably was that way more so with Tess and Slimer and Noah when they were younger.
Yeah,
just getting one thing I've always said, and Slimer probably caught this the most from me, is I don't care if you miss the fish, but you got to shoot.
Oh yeah,
don't, especially in Big 20 and the way that you and I fish where. Our goal is to go shoot them big fish, so we might only see 35 fish in a night. We need 20 of them.
Yeah, it can make for long nights.
You know, but you got to shoot.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think in the early days maybe I would get a little frustrated with them guys.
Yep.
Because they weren't shooting, you know. You can't be mad at them for missing. Everybody misses.
Everybody misses. Right.
You know, someday I'm sure I'll miss, but
oh yeah.
As I told him, we had a chance to win that tournament this weekend, but we would have had to have put every big fish we saw in the boat.
Sure. Yep.
The very first fish I saw was a 25-pounder, and I missed it.
Oh man. Oh.
Yeah.
Just going back to you guys talking about how well you guys got along on the water all that time, and Matt brought up, sometimes, you get frustrated doing stuff like that. Before you leave today, Jody, remind Matt, we need to show you a clip from Matt and I on the boat last year. Just to set the scene, it's going to sound a little sketchy, okay? I'm in my underwear, and Matt loses a big fish. That's all I'm going to say. And the audio and the way the whole thing shakes out is... Now, at the time, it was not funny. Looking back on it now, it could have been a comedy skit, the way that it laid out.
You can't leave it that you were in your underwear. The reason you were in your underwear because you were out waiting in the water.
Yeah.
And you had come back and you were changing your clothes.
Yep. But on the camera, all you see is Matt fighting a fish, and here I come up on the deck.
And you're standing on the top rail in your underwear looking around to see what's going on. You're like,
Oh,
my gosh. The GoPro running up there.
Yep. That's
and this wasn't even in a tournament.
No, this was we were just filming. Right. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Well, Jody, you've obviously done a lot. Your career has been fantastic. But one thing that Matt and I are always trying to talk about, bring up with people who might not be thinking about it, is the next generation of bow fishermen. And we as a community are responsible for creating that next generation. In your opinion, Jody, how do we keep bow fishing alive and strong for future years to come?
Well, I think you just have to keep promoting the sport in a positive way. I think it's important that local clubs, national clubs help educate the non-fishing public as to what we're actually doing.
Yeah.
Just a quick throw in a little thing here that Matt helped happen. The Wisconsin Bowfishing Association this year was awarded the Invasive Species Crusader Award, I believe, from the Wisconsin DNR.
Nice.
Things like them are huge because it makes the non-fishing public aware of what we're actually doing.
Right.
And I think also during through the tournaments, having the seasoned teams talk to these new guys.
Sure.
You see them either doing something right or something wrong. Acknowledge it.
Yep.
I remember I walked up to an individual last year, Casey Lee, after he won the hobby class team of the year last year. He had it locked up. This kid didn't have to shoot that last miserable tournament if he didn't want to, but he did.
He's down there. Yeah.
And not only did he do it, I believe he won the tournament.
Oh, wow. That's
and I
cool.
remember walking up to him and shaking his hand and telling him how much I admired his fact that he did that he went out and did it, even though he didn't have to.
Right.
And, he's become a good friend, and he's told me how much that meant for me.
Yes.
To talk to him
Sure.
about that.
Right.
And to me, it was just, and I think that's important, is that these guys that have been around for way longer than me, that they socialize with these new guys. And
you have they at the time, like you said, you have no idea what, hey, you're just going up and talking to this guy and congratulate him and say, you did a heck of a job this year. Good job.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't understand what that means to that person.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is a great point, Jody, for some of the guys that have been doing this for several years. Go up and talk to these young guys.
Yeah.
You have no idea who they are. Go up and congratulate them or say, good job, guys. You guys did a heck of a job. Or that does mean a lot. Yes.
Yeah. And especially like for you two, you guys might just do it and think nothing of it. But that young guy who just got in a tournament, he knows who you two are. That carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You might not know him. You might not think he should know you, but he does.
Right.
He knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool stuff. So what's in the future right now for you moving forward?
As far as
keep sticking fish?
Oh, I'm sure I will. I would say that it'd be doubtful that I'll get more active than I am now as far as traveling like I used to or anything.
I think that's really cool, though, what you said. You're still going to compete in the WBA tournaments right here in the state. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
Well, it almost happened last year, and then it didn't. I built that boat for Eric, and he kind of wanted me to shoot last year, but he wasn't sure how his team was going to go. And I wasn't sure I wanted to. And as you know, there's some other stuff I'm dealing with. And so hopefully this winter, we talked about it. He had his boat in my shop again this winter, and he was doing some changes, and like you're always doing to a boat anytime, that, especially a bow fishing boat. And he asked if I wanted to shoot, and yeah.
That's good.
So
That's good.
You know, the only hard one really is mud and chub.
Yeah.
And the state shoot, but Castle Rock, I live 6 miles from Castle Rock, and I have a cabin on the Mississippi. Yeah. You know, so them 3 tournaments are pretty easy, you know, for me to be there.
Right. Speaking of the state shoot, Jody, that was one of my more favorite tournaments that we have shot in together. It was me, you, and John, and Trace. Yeah. And that was the first year that they had the Wisconsin state tournament for the WBA. Statewide tournament there. And that was a fun tournament. I really enjoyed that tournament because I remember you kind of, as we pulled into back at the weighing headquarters there at the fairgrounds, I can remember you kind of having a kind of look on your face, you know, like, you know. And then because you're busy, you're not seeing the fish that we're putting into the tubs in the back there. And I remember once we started calling our fish and weighing them, we were putting our fish on a deck that were going to be making the weights, you know, and stuff. And you're like, when did we shoot that one? Well, when did we shoot that one? Well, when did we put that 30-pounder in the boat? You know, it was kind of funny because I saw you kind of like, kind of picked up. Yep. That was just a fun. That was a fun tournament. I had a good time in that.
That was a good tournament. Yeah.
Yep. But it was funny watching him because, like you said, he's driving all the time.
Right? I think we've talked about that before. That's one thing I noticed has really changed with the airboat is I don't know if it's because I need to really pay attention because that boat doesn't stop.
Right.
That boat's always moving. It's not like our fan boats where you can just turn the fan around. Or that boat's always moving. Yep. So I don't turn around and look at the fish. You know?
Right, sure.
I look to see if you hit it and if I need to make an adjustment with the boat to help you land it.
Yeah. Right.
But beyond that, once that boat, I don't turn around and look at it. And we've talked about that before, how many times that I didn't think we were doing very good.
Right.
And we get back to and start sorting fish, and they're usually pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice little surprise.
Yeah.
Don't think you do well, and you come back, you're like, oh, my God.
And then another year that I can remember, Jody, is you, me, Noah, and Trace were shooting in the WBA Green Bay tournament. And Trace and Noah on Friday night, were away from us scouting, and you and I were scouting a different area. And I said, Jody, let's make a run. I want to look at this one spot. So we went to this other spot, got in there. We were in there for 5 minutes, Jody. And you said, turn the lights off. Let's get the heck out of here. We had found what we were looking for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the night of the tournament, we went back in there, and we did pretty good. And that was when you had your fan boat. And I can remember heading back to weigh-ins, and we took off.
We tried to take
off. Uh-oh. And the back of the boat just sunk down to the water, and the nose just.
Oh, boy.
She wasn't going anywhere.
The fish were. Well, it's the same boat as you guys. The fish were taller than the steps in the tub.
Oh, my goodness.
We had a 100-gallon tote on the deck full of fish. Yeah. And, well, remember to start with, too, once we went to take off, the motor wouldn't start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we had the motor tipped up all night. Well, you know, on them old two-strokes, you get the motor tipped, and we had it cranked all the way up.
Yep.
All the fuel ran out of the carburetors.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, guess where the ball is? It's under the back deck.
Oh, boy.
So we got to move. We had to move all these fish.
Jeez.
So Trace could crawl underneath there and pump that ball.
Oh, my gosh.
So now we get the boat running, and we take off. And Matt was standing with he was like ankle deep on the steps, with his legs spread on the steps, holding on to the 100-gallon tote like this. And he turned around and looked at me, and his eyes got about this big, and he goes, "Don't let off.
Don't stop."
He said the wave was like 6 feet above the outboard behind him.
The wake was higher than his head. He was, because he was down so low.
Sure.
And then that wake coming out from underneath the outboard was just popping up. I says, "Don't stop.
Yeah.
You keep going." And finally, me, Trace, Noah, we all moved up to the very tip top of the deck that we could get up there. And after a couple hundred yards, that Noah's finally started creeping back
The
down.
RPM's finally starting to come up a little bit. And it took up. And the thing of it is, and you hate to sound conceited, but we knew we had the tournament won.
Yeah.
We knew them were the winning fish when we found them the night before. That's happened to all of us how many times? The weird thing is, not only did we find them the night before, but they were still there.
Right. Yeah.
And were they still there? And we got them.
Yeah. Right.
So many things happen. So at this point, when this boat won't start, and the boat's full, and now it won't get up on pad.
We got a long run.
We're 10 miles from the truck.
Wow. Yeah.
And we're
that's got to be a little
time.
stressful there.
We know the winning fish are in this boat.
Yeah.
But that was a fun tournament.
That was a heck of
it was.
And that was from the time we turned the lights on to the time we headed back. It was just toads.
Yeah.
All night
long we were fish.
My gosh.
All night long.
That's
it was
awesome.
So fun.
Can't ask for anything better than that.
There's just a little bit more to that story. You remember when we called Trace and Noah and told them to go back to the motel, go get some sleep. We found the winning fish.
They were in your boat.
They were in my boat.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to tell me, but they'd lost my generator off the back of the boat.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they didn't know it because they shut the lights off, took off on pad, and it was rough.
Oh.
Well, the strap come off the generator, and it went in the lake. And when they got back to the marina to turn the lights on to help them guide, no light.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, that's because there was no generator.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's rough. That's rough to realize that.
So to complete that story, I filed a claim with my insurance company.
Yep.
The agent, the adjuster called me, and he said, "You said you lost your generator off your boat in Green Bay." Yeah, that's correct. Well, why didn't you turn around and go back and get it?
Oh, my gosh.
He thought I lost it in the city of Green Bay, not in the Bay of Green Bay.
Yeah, he was probably a little confused. Wow. So he must have just, when you told him it was in the water, he must have just been like, "Oh, God. Okay."
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Was that the year that we stopped at?
that wasn't tacos.
Okay, that wasn't tacos.
You guys are on the same page. Is that the year we stopped at? Nope, that wasn't
right away what I was talking about.
Team Taco, that was
Team
the year
Taco.
before.
Okay, yeah, that's when we were eating soggy freaking tacos.
We pulled into a Taco Bell, and we didn't really know what we wanted.
That was the COVID year, so you had to go through the drive-thru.
Sure, okay, yep.
Simon said, Slimer goes, "Well, order this. That's good." And so we ordered 4 of them. Well, no, they were 4 value meals.
Oh, wow.
We had 46 burritos and
holy cow.
46 tacos and like 16 burritos.
Oh, my gosh.
We ran into Travis Pashberg on the lake. We were trying to trade him soggy tacos for brownies.
Our team name for that tournament that year was Team Taco.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Appropriately so.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Jody, through all these stories, might have to dive into the memory bank. Maybe not. Maybe you've got one. What's your all-time favorite bowfishing memory?
Oh, it has to be the Worlds in 2015 with my daughter and with Slimer. And it was literally, Slimer's dad is a farmer down by me, and he's not a bow fisherman. And I said, the World Championships is going to be held over on the Mississippi in next weekend. We should take the kids just to see what it's all about. And we did. We went over on Friday night and put the boat in and found some fish and monkeyed around a little bit the next day, and we fished the tournament. And I know Matt doesn't remember this. I've told him before, but when we pulled into the parking lot in Prairie du Chien, we were coming through the line. I'm not even sure Matt knew. I mean, you knew who we were, but we had never shot together or anything.
Yeah.
And you walked by and you looked at my boat, and I'm watching you in the mirror, and you turn around, and you come up to my window, and you said, "You guys are going to win." I'm like, what? Obviously, we didn't win, but we took second.
Place.
Yeah. And to do that with my daughter, who was probably 14 at the time, maybe.
Wow.
13, 14, yeah.
Wow.
No, she would have been 14 at that time, and Simon would have been 12, and Danny's first tournament. We just happened to get lucky, and we were on the fish that won the tournament, because the boat that won the tournament fished right there with us.
Sure.
And so that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to do that again.
Right.
That's the thing. Is
Right.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, Simon hasn't shot now for a couple years. Tess usually gets on the boat with me once or twice.
Yep.
But they're grown up now.
Right.
Tess lives in Eau Claire. Simon's got a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of known as the river rat. You know a lot about the river. At that time, Jody, when you shot in a tournament, were you
No.
pretty well diverse in the river down there?
No, we'd only shot the river a couple times before that.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right.
The actual way we found them fish was a complete accident, and it probably is what set the tone for me being as successful as I've been on the river. It's no secret where we were. We were in Stoddard, but we were more up towards Brownsville, and we wanted to go check out a different area. And, if you're not on the channel, you can't run your outboard.
Right.
Well, you can. He told that story before.
Yeah. Yes, he has.
So we were just trying to get over to another place with the fan, which is slow.
Mm-hmm.
That was your old boat.
Yep.
The old 1860.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden Simon goes, "Look at that one. Look at that one." And these fish were just laying out on this big weedy flat that nobody goes and looks at.
Sure.
And so I noticed a few things about it and kept that in the memory bank, and that's kind of the same stuff that we always look for.
Sure. Yep.
The river, the river is weird because there's so many places on the Mississippi up here by us that look just amazing, and there ain't a fish in there.
No.
They're just. And it's hard to leave them spots because you're like, man, if this was Castle Rock, there'd be fish everywhere.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
How many times have we said that on the boat, though? Man, it looks right.
Yeah.
It looks good.
And the water's crystal clear.
Yep.
That's your first clue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get them in that crystal clear water, but usually not.
Usually not. Right. Yep.
Them big fish on the river, they got their spots that they're. And I don't care whether you're on pool 3 or you're on pool 11, them spots are the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So if once you figure it out, you can look for them spots.
Sure.
Yes, exactly.
In different pools and
Yep.
using different
Yep.
electronic devices as far as different mappings
Yep.
and stuff. And, that's...
Mm-hmm.
And during the day, too, a lot of times it's weird how I'll find these huge pods of common spawning, and you're all excited, and you go back there that night. Them fish are not there.
Right.
They're not there.
Yep.
Well, then you just got to figure it out. Well, they were just here a couple hours ago. They
Right.
can't be too far.
Right.
How far did they travel? 200 yards,
Yeah,
300 yards?
Yeah, a lot of times that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, Jody, we're going to let you get back on the road back home. We want to thank you very much for stopping here and joining us here.
Yeah, it's
live.
so much cooler when we can have the person with us
Exactly.
here.
Yeah.
It's just a better conversation. So yeah, thanks.
It's
Thanks a
fun.
ton.
I enjoy being here.
Yeah.
Hadn't
Yep.
been here in a while.
Yeah. Yep.
And hats off, man.
Thanks.
The BAA Hall of Fame, Jody Bigalke. That's freaking awesome.
Absolutely.
That's freaking awesome.
Absolutely.
I had a blast shooting with you in all these years. I hope we get to shoot again together. I know we will be shooting together here, I'm sure. But awesome. Congratulations, Jody. And thank you for joining us here on the Bowfishing Buzz.
Thank you.
You bet.
Awesome. All right, huge thank you to Jody for joining us. Not only did he join us for the podcast, but he physically drove here, joined us up in the booth. That was fantastic. He's always so insightful. I think of him kind of as a, not to age him at all, but in my eyes, he's kind of an elder statesman of the bowfishing community. Just somebody that a lot of people know. A lot of people love Jody. He's a great guy. So very cool of him to join us in the booth. That was awesome.
Always great. I love hearing his aspects on things. I love hearing his stories. Great guy.
Yeah, very cool.
Very proud of Jody for the inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so what we're going to read off to you guys next, Jody had to prepare some literature for that BAA Hall of Fame induction. He had to run here, but he brought a printout of it. We're just going to read it through. It's very cool, very touching. It gives you a little bit more insight, detail on Jody's life.
Right. And how much, and not only in bowfishing, but so much other things that he's involved with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to read this off to you guys here.
It's kind of a cool thing.
And this is from Jody's point of view, so pretend it's Jody reading it to you. My passion for the sport of bowfishing began when I was less than 10 years old, spearing suckers on our central Wisconsin farm in the late 60s to early 70s. It stuck with me into my teenage years when my uncle and I started shooting carp with recurve bows using taped-on mason jars as reels. In the 90s, I began serving on many committees with the Wisconsin Conservation Congress, as bowfishing is not the only component of game management for which I am passionate. During my 30 years of service with the Conservation Congress, I sat on the freshwater, deer, upland game bird, wolf, CWD, and trapping committees. I also opened a sporting goods store in the 90s that specialized in archery. The shop, Conservation Congress, and competing in IBO 3D archery shoots nationwide kept me busy, but one day things took a major turn when I saw a picture of an AMS retriever.
Oh, wow.
I ordered 2 that same day. For the next several years after those reels were delivered, I would also take local kids day shooting many times a week, especially during the spawn. Of course, a spear still had its spot in the truck as well. After closing my shop in 2004, I began taking my daughter, Tess, and other local kids on many outdoor adventures. We began bowfishing more regularly, which led to converting our trapping boat into a bowfishing rig. It was equipped with 27-watt, 12-volt LED lights.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I would stand on the back seat with a push pole, guiding the boat through the backwaters of the Yellow River as the kids shot fish. Those were the best times. Around this same time, a friend developed an organization called KAMO, Kids and Mentors Outdoors, KAMO.
Right.
The mission of the organization is to provide kids who were raised without a relationship to the outdoors a way to become connected with it through hunting, fishing, camping, and so on. I ended up serving several years on the board of directors. Bowfishing was often included in the KAMO outings and became a favorite activity amongst the kids. We did most of our bowfishing on Castle Rock and Petenwell Lakes and their sloughs. As time went on, we eventually began seeing other boats on the waters of these lakes at night and soon heard of the Wisconsin Bowfishing Association, or the WBA. In 2014, I registered for our first tournament and built a team of myself, my 13-year-old daughter, and 2 middle schoolers.
Wow.
It was being held on the 2 lakes, which we spent countless hours on, so we decided to see what these tournaments were all about. This tournament hooked us on the sport, and it was full speed ahead from that night on. Yeah. Since that tournament in 2014, I have only missed 1 WBA tournament.
That's incredible.
That is wild. Over those 11 years, I have built several different boats for myself and for other teams. Yep. Have introduced the sport of bowfishing to quite literally hundreds of kids and had many of them shooting tournaments with me. To this day, I continue to bring my boat to several kids' events every year, hoping to introduce them to the sport of bowfishing and teach them the ropes, as was done for me almost 55 years ago.
Wow.
We have been very lucky enough to enjoy our share of wins and, of course, our share of losses. The most meaningful of those successes was in 2015 at the BAA World Shoot, where on a whim I convinced a friend who had never shot a tournament to bring his 12-year-old son to join my 14-year-old daughter and I and enter this tournament just for the experience to see how the big shots do it. We entered the Big 20 category, expecting to just have some fun, but somehow we managed to earn second place. Wow. Even with all the other championships and titles won, including 2018 Bowfish of the Year and many Team of the Year titles, that 2015 World Shoot will always be special. For the Wisconsin Bowfishing Association, I served as secretary, treasurer, and vice president. I only stepped aside to accept a board position for the BAA.
Right.
I was eventually elected vice president, and I still hold one state representative position for Wisconsin. Looking back, bowfishing has always been present in my life. This sport has allowed me to cover waters and harvest fish that I could have never imagined. Not to mention the friends and memories I've made along the way. I am beyond thankful to be recognized for this award by the sport and its people that have already given me a lifetime of honors. So thank you.
Wow.
That's very
nice.
Well written by Jody.
Very nice.
Oh, that'll bring freaking tears to your eyes.
Yeah. Yep. I remember, Derrick, we were down there shooting in that World's Tournament in Prairie du Chien that year as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. Me, Tim, Dan Parker, and Corey Tobin.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Were shooting in that tournament. And at that time, I really didn't know Jody.
Sure. Yep.
Hardly at all. And I talked to him down there at the tournament. I saw his raw emotion when they went up and were called up for second place in the Big 20.
Yeah.
Was their team. I saw his raw emotion. He had tears coming down his cheek, and he was so impressed with his team and how they did against what he called the best.
Yep.
To come down and see what the best do.
Yep.
And ever since then, Jody and I connected, just like I said, from that tournament there.
Yep.
And it was so special to see what he was doing, taking kids out. Who goes to tournaments?
Yeah.
Beside, with
a 12-year-old,
yes,
a 14-year-old,
right,
and a guy who's never shot a tournament before.
Right.
Yeah.
Who goes and shoots the Worlds and takes second place?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
I know he touched on that a little bit when we had him in here for the interview, but and how he ran into those fish and stuff. But just a great story, a great guy, a guy like he said that has put hundreds of smiles on kids' faces throughout his years. I actually saw his old sports shop where it used to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was with him one night, and he goes, "That's my old sports shop."
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so great guy. Super, super proud of Jody for getting inducted into the BAA Hall of Fame.
Huge congrats.
Yeah.
Well-deserved.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now it's time for a little segment, Matt, that you seem to thoroughly enjoy every podcast. Let's kick it off here. Oh, fancy sounding.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Now it's time for Fish That You Wish. This fish comes to us out of a state that has the lowest population density in the nation.
Oh.
If Manhattan, New York had the same population density as this state, only 16 people would be living on the island. The lowest temperature was recorded in the state back in 1971 at negative 80 degrees. The name for the state means the Great Land. I'm talking the glacier state of Alaska.
Cool.
This fish was shot May 22nd, 2002 by Lexi Dockstader. With a girth of 21 inches and a length of 48.5 inches, this northern pike dangled the scale at 28.6 pounds, making it the BAA Alaska state record.
Wow, big old Alaska pike up there. Goodness gracious. And that's a fish you wish you shot. I love the Alaska reference. I wasn't even thinking of Alaska when you said the lowest populated
Yeah, how cool is that?
Wow.
Can you think about that? I was blown away by that stat about the lowest population density in the States.
Yep.
Manhattan, New York have had the same population density, 16 people on that island.
Yeah. Wow.
How crazy is that?
That's wild. Do you think we
crazy.
could maybe go shoot some fish in Alaska soon? Could you imagine the scenery up there?
Oh,
that'd be ridiculous.
Like I said, the name Alaska means the Great Land.
The Great Land.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Alrighty, folks.
Oh, the next one is one hundo.
Wow, right? We're going to be giving away some prizes on that. Go check out our Facebook social media pages and our Instagram pages for details on that.
100%.
Wow, Schmitty. That was a great podcast. Thank you so much to Jody Bigalke for stopping in here and joining us for episode 99 of the Bowfishing Buzz podcast, brought to you by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well, our fantastic sponsors, End Designs, Leatherwork and Embroidery, Efficiency Bowfishing Lights by Outdoor Innovations USA. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring us.
Absolutely. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Get out there, shoot in those tournaments,
Yes.
have a good time, meet people, take care of your fish, no dumping them in parking lots,
No.
in boat landings.
No.
Don't give us a bad apple. And sign up for the AMS Big 20, baby.
We want to
It's going to
see
be
you
a
here.
good one.
Yes.
May 17th and 18th. We're going down to make products because
We're busy.
we're making them right here in the USA.
Yes. Yep.
No
Yep.
tariffs on that stuff.
No
Smitty.
inventory issues, no tariff problems, because we make it all right here. Right here.
Alrighty, so from all of us here at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. And remember, aim low.
Think big. Thanks for listening, guys.